Signs of the Southland for Sunday, November 9th, 2025. Your weekly dose of Georgia Tech numbers and words. My name is Akshay, and joining me today from a dark, gloomy, daylight savings time affected Atlanta, Georgia, are Jack Purdy and Jake Grant. Gentlemen, it is dark at 6 o'clock. I don't really know what to do with this. This sucks.
See, I wouldn't call it gloomy though.
It's
Today
not
was a
gloomy.
beautiful day.
It really was.
It's been a delightful day. It's dark, but
Tomorrow's the gloomy day when it's a high of like
yeah,
42 degrees and a low of 29. Like I got to walk to the
Yeah,
Camish in shorts today, and someone should call the hospital if I do that tomorrow.
I mean, you could do it tomorrow.
Some people will on campus. I know this. I've been friends with the people that don't understand temperature and how and like that you don't wear shorts below 45 degrees, but then they just do it, and I don't understand them.
It's like a big Midwestern bit, I feel like. Can our Midwestern correspondent please chime in?
I don't know. I wear long stuff more than I wear short stuff.
See,
That's
he makes sense. He makes sense. Now,
that there used to be a guy around town who would mow his lawn like right before the last snow of the year in like full shorts and like 38 degrees.
oh,
And I never understood that. I just don't tick that way.
all right.
I like jeans. I like a flannel shirt,
We all understand
That's
temperature. That's good.
yeah.
See, if it, I would call this gloomy, but this is not even regarding the weather. I can't do a sundown that's like hovering around 4 o'clock, which basically just rules me out of ever living anything north of Kentucky in my life. Uh, that
Oh, I got
not doing
friends
that.
that live in Boston. They hate it. They hate daylight savings time. It is
Uh,
awful.
it's crazy.
So do they hate daylight savings time or do they hate standard time? Because it sounds like they hate standard time, not
Whichever one
daylight
is the one
savings
right
time.
now, I never know which one it is.
This is
No,
daylight
no one.
wastings time, not daylight savings time. Akshay, come on.
Daylight debt
Come
time?
on.
Daylight credit
Sure.
time versus daylight debit time?
No,
This,
I think we have completely reset our like circadian rhythms to be okay with solar noon being like 2 hours past noon, and it has completely just thrown that discourse out the window. Like, I don't know, or early to bed, early to rise, right? And I sound like the least fun guy you ever heard of. But I don't know.
well, it's good that we're talking about saving time because it's time to go into a finance corner segment for the first time in a while. We had a letter from athletic director Brian Alpert that came out earlier this week, talking about the athletic department's performance as a whole. It's nice to hear from the athletic director again with some regularity. I think there's been one every month this season thus far, this athletic year thus far.
Yep.
So that's been pretty neat. Um, a lot of it is just kind of your standard, hey, football, doing great. Hey, basketball season's here. Let's go watch them. Hey, swimming and diving season's underway. I haven't actually seen one of those in one of these letters before, so that's neat. But the key part that I wanted to pull out for our finance corner today was talking about the shift in NIL strategy from the Tech Way. From Ryan Alpert's letter, quote, the Tech Way will renew their focus to identify business-to-business cost savings opportunities that can support Georgia Tech student athletes. Working with the Tech Way and new partner, the Link U, companies can identify new avenues for increased revenue and efficiencies that will create third-party NIL support for the Yellow Jackets, end quote. So the Link U partner is a software platform for NIL. But the key thing pulling this out from their donation page, quote, all funds donated here are entered into our ambassador program. These funds are then used to engage student athletes in NIL opportunities supporting local businesses and organizations. Student athletes get the opportunity to work with local businesses and increase their own personal marketability and market experience, end quote. So it is very much so shifting the responsibility of organizing some of these NIL deals to, well, the school will help organize the NIL deals. The collective will organize the NIL deals, but they're no longer dispersing the funds like in a traditional, quote unquote, traditional NIL collective. So that's an interesting shift there. I think that's probably with regards to the House settlement now being in place, Georgia Tech is now dispersing $20.5 million to across all of its student athletes per the terms of that settlement. So now when schools are paying athletes directly, there's no need to do a lot of this weird NIL rather than salary calculus. And now they can just sign straight up contracts for NIL with the school. Jack, you did a lot of work with, or at least you know a lot more about some of this NIL stuff than I do. What do you make of this deal?
It's rearranging how the paperwork's done. It's kind of what this falls into. Like there's on our end, it doesn't change much of anything in terms of how as fans we approach this whole thing and how we go and our behavior as fans necessarily. Um, Nonetheless, it's progress. I think we got a note here that like Brent Jones did something like this at Troy as well. So there's the whole thing with Alpert and Brent right now is all Brent Jones and Key is it's just maximizing opportunity for the kids we have on hand because that just helps retain the guys that we got right now, but also is like a hey we have this available to you when we recruit, and we've got advantages when it comes to location. We've got it. I'd say an advantage now when it comes to the kind of head coach and the kind of play that we do. But we've known, and this is what Ryan said since the beginning, is wanting to tap into the business scene in Atlanta. And even if we're not the biggest thing in Atlanta, we don't have the most famous athletes in Atlanta. We're still Georgia Tech, and that really does matter when it's all said and done. And so there are companies out there that want to be associated with the school and with their athletics program and the people that go to those games. So this is just, as I said, this is kind of just how the done. Paperwork's done. It doesn't really matter on our end in terms of how we do things, but overall, it's one of those steps we just gotta take on the business side of things to keep things smooth.
I do appreciate how they're upfront. They're like, this is not tax deductible
This is good. That
because,
is good.
excuse me,
That's good. That's good
because
to know.
that is the 501c or 501c3 thing, if I remember correctly, was a big sticking point for collectives a couple of years ago, and that is just like it was very clearly not a charity, and so you didn't want to get your payments involved and then try to deduct those off your tax. It was a whole mess.
Yeah.
So it's nice to avoid that up front. I am a little curious about how this works from like a I don't know, just from like a logistics perspective, because it is so the Link U is basically the platform to organize these deals. The Tech Way is probably building the relationships with the businesses in order to plug into the platform. But what kind of value, what kind of like actual relationships, um, and actual market incentives that these athletes get out of the platform, I think is yet to be determined. Probably depends on like what kind of deals are cultivated, what kind of companies are in or participating,
Yep.
like what the it. I was looking through LinkedIn just to try to get an idea of what kind of companies are working with the Link U, and I saw something about Morgan Stanley. I saw a couple other companies, but like what does like Morgan Stan like what does say like a Chase Lane or like a Malik Rutherford doing an ad for Morgan Stanley really do, right? Like how much sense does that make for the athlete, especially because now they have the more of a say in what deals they get on top of their existing school salary.
Right. And this is weirdly where how the fact Tech is expanding its enrollment does kind of matter, because that means more people will have some recognition to the people that are Tech famous and not necessarily athletics, not necessarily like Southeast football famous kind of thing too. Um, so there is some increase the fact that we're doing a lot of work on the academic side to expand opportunity and expand different ways to get into tech does it does in some way actually affect like okay how does this make the business side of things on the athletic side make sense as well once you get into this work into this stuff because there's just more and more and more people out there that are alive that are connected to the school and that graduated from the school that might care about these kinds of things and make those opportunities real and or just elevate in value just because of eyeballs.
I'll add to this is sort of shifting the onus of funding from individual donors to businesses, at least in terms of philosophy as written out by Ryan Alpert here, which I think is also an interesting part of this. Jake, I think we've talked a couple of times on this show about how continuing to go to the donor well is just at some point that cash cow stops, right? Like that train stops because like you can't ask your fans to pay N number of dollars for football tickets and then M number of dollars as a donation and then Z number of dollars for NIL, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's how you get people real exhausted. That you know, there's not much else to it, right? There's only so much money that the three of us can donate, only so much time that we can spend on these. Dare I say, for the three of us, that number's pretty small. So yeah, it can be tough to go ask random folks to contribute to that. And I don't know, at least myself personally with the tech way and NIL donations and things like that, it feels, at least to me, or felt like that's the onus of the school and the money they take in from all the various pieces there. Like, hey, like I get my season tickets, right? I support in giving some to the operations and things like that. But it's a tough ask, I think is the upshot there. Unless you truly have an existence where, not that money is no object, but to where you can make uh large donations of question mark return on value, whatever that value is. That's every person's own push there. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I think this is a good step, though. At least it feels like a good step to me.
Yeah. And that all is helped, right? Those funds and those investments are helped by increases in attendance and increases in fan engagement, which Ryan Alpert also touched on in his letter here. Uh, Quote, attendance at Bobby Dodd Stadium is up nearly 30% year over year heading into November. And our last two crowds in particular, 50,000 plus versus Virginia Tech and a sellout of 51,913 against Syracuse were our largest back-to-back crowds in almost a decade, end quote. So that just the energy that Georgia Tech football has right now and that attendance, like the popularity that the program has and the fact that they're winning games again, that's just going to drive more and more investment back into the program, right? And you release things like this sort of business to business NIL platform, you solicit more donations, like all of these sort of revenue generation streams, right? We've talked a bunch about partner section 103 and the college vault program, that all these sorts of different ways to do revenue generation. So just even outside of just the basic ticket sales, I think it sets Georgia Tech up for success across a bunch financial success across a bunch of different strata here, right?
Yeah, it's how we're gonna have to attack this to stay alive. And this has been known pretty much ever since Jay Batt walked in the door and what he was talking about with revenue generation and hiring the personnel to make things like this possible too. And this is clearly Alpert becomes a example of Alpert walking into a great situation to launch off of. This is This is another example of that happening too.
Now it's time for Ryan Alpert to turn Peter's parking deck into our own version of the battery to maximize revenue generation.
I got a side note about Peter's parking deck. They actually did some work to it this week. They added lights so that people can play tennis, volleyball, tennis or whatever sports they do on top of it at night. There were no lights there until this most recent week, but now there are
There
lights.
weren't?
There were
Yeah,
not
I'm
lights.
not sure I realized that there weren't lights there. What?
There were not lights, and they literally had to have a helicopter suspended over the deck for 3 hours this past week to help insert the poles or whatever they were doing for the lights. So yeah, you can now play your pickleball at late o'clock at night if you so want to at Peter's parking deck.
And it's certainly a choice, gents. Certainly a choice.
Fascinating. Another thing you could do on Peter's parking deck is tailgate for football games at Bobby Dodd Stadium. All 7 home games for Georgia Tech's football season next year actually will be at Bobby Dodd Stadium after some fan season ticket holder feedback. if we want to slide right over into football corner real quick, that Tennessee game that we thought might be moved to Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and actually Ryan Alpert asked fans if they wanted to move it to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That is not happening. So a full home game slate, actually with one extra home game at Bobby Dodd Stadium next year. I think that Mercedes-Benz contract has one game left. Not sure what they're going to do with that. There was no update beyond just that, what the schedule was going to look like next year. Jack, I don't know if you had any more information on that.
No, there's not much there as of now. What's curious to me is I think they said it was about 75% of folks said they wanted the game moved back to Tennessee, or not from Bobby Dodd to Bobby Dodd.
Yeah, we don't need the home game. Just give it to him.
Just give them two home games. No. I did what I did last week though on our Twitter was a poll of like, hey, just knowing everything we know now about this season and knowing that we have Georgia in that stadium, like, how do we feel right now? Like, if you got to ignore just just knowing everything we knew, and I just asked like, would you move the game back to Bobby Dodd right now? And we had close to 70% of people on our poll say, hey, yeah, I'd want it at Bobby Dodd, which makes sense. There's still so much nostalgia with it, and it's just painful to know that particular game in this particular season is only going to be a mile away from the stadium, and it's not our stadium. The $10 million is still $10 million though. Like that is can change a lot of things about the future of the school. I know. I mean, I voted.
Jack, we're never going to agree on that.
No. Don't beat me here. I went to my own Twitter account and voted no in that poll that I would not want it to. Yeah. No, I voted to move it to Bobby Dodd. I said that I've been on the train of I get it. And a lot of people I think are in the same boat of that we get it. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. Except that you would have to be that you can't turn away 10 million. At that time, we weren't in the position we are now in terms of where we are with football and everything like that. If we got to make that decision now, it'd be a much harder call than it was when Jay Batt was able to do it without knowing that we were about to go 8-0. Like that's a very different state of being to be in when you're making that call. And at this point, there's no turning. I mean, there's no. At this point, everything's too much in motion to turn it back. It's not like we're gonna undo that game or undo that contract or anything like that. But I think it's notable that the sentiment, my overall point, that the sentiment of having games at Bobby Dodd between one we had some control over and one that we have no control over, the sentiment was pretty much the same.
Another thing from that season ticket renewals article as well, because I haven't pulled up here, they've changed the base price of a season ticket to $250 across every single level, but now you have a required AT fund donation that changes, that scales between the different levels. So if you just want the basic, upper deck gold zone, quote unquote, season ticket, it's that $250 base and then a $50 donation for a $300 total season ticket price, which scales all the way up to your Genesis Goal Line Club inside, which is again base $250 and then $2,275 for your tech fund contribution for a grand total of just over $2,500.
I'm sure there's some accounting wizardry that's going on there, but I honestly think this is kind of this is going to sound like a distinction without a difference, but I think it's kind of cool. Like, I don't know. Like, obviously, 250. It's what, like 35, $36 per game for 7 games. It's not the cheapest ticket in the world. But the idea of it being, this is an AT fund designation, donation, a direction that's going, kind of is like I wouldn't be surprised if that gives them some sort of, spending or whatnot flexibility somewhere if that's where that's going, rather than into just like, here's the ticket fund, right? I don't know what I'm talking about. I guess I should stop. So.
Well, I think between this fourth quarter AT fund donation push where you could 4x your priority points, and then this in the article that says, it says, quote, the remaining amount of the all-in price will be the tech fund contribution required to purchase tickets. This change will benefit season ticket holders by increasing their accumulation of Alexander Tharp Fund priority points, which are used to allocate benefits such as seat locations and parking for Georgia Tech Athletics home events, including post-renovation reseating at Bobby Dodd Stadium in 2027, end quote. So Like they're doing all of this stuff as a like they're changing all of these things, simplifying the pricing structure, juicing AT fund points, also that like if you are gamifying this whole system, you can optimize and maximize the number of AT fund points that you get, especially leading up to a full seater other than student section stadium at Bobby Dodd in 2027.
Which that can't come soon enough. I need that yesterday. All cedar seats. Just I was kind of on the fence at first. I was like, oh, capacity will go down. Meh, I'll seat it. Please, just bring it.
I think we disagree here. I don't want people to feel
Really?
comfortable sitting. I mean, if you have to feel comfortable sitting down for medical reasons, yeah. But stand up. I would like us to be forced to stand up because it's so
No.
uncomfortable to sit.
You can stand. You can stand regardless of if it's a bench or a seat. But I've dealt with years of random people being in my seat, random recruits being in my seat,
That's fair.
random
That's
other
fair.
people
That's fair.
being in
That's
my
fair.
seat.
Yeah.
I want to be that row Y seats X and Z. Those are my seats. Bye. Like I want to know that they're there and they're mine, right? I don't know. The benches, I think people just kind of go like, it's a bench. It's like I don't know. I pay good money for these
That's fair.
tickets,
That's fair.
and
That's fair.
that's my seat, you know. But
Fair enough. Go looking ahead to 2027. No one really knows what 2027 will look like because the ACC has committed to a 9-game conference schedule, but has not told anyone what that conference schedule will look like, which is great. The
And
ACC,
someone's playing 8 games that year too. So really, who the hell knows?
this conference is great.
hooray! This all makes
I
a lot of
heard
sense.
I heard from this was from Blue Sky earlier. Let me see if I can find the Blue Sky feed. It was ACC football makes way more sense once you realize it's the American version of Taskmaster,
That
which
was
is
Ryan
if
Nanny, by the way.
Ryan Nanny, Celebrity Hot
Yes.
Tub on Blue Sky, of course. I agree. This is ridiculous. This conference is ridiculous all the time, and it is always, always a hoot now that
No,
Coastal Chaos has gotten
the,
everywhere.
the ACC is a platonic ideal of an entertaining football league, and the people who are telling you that that's a bad thing don't want you to be fun and have happiness. Don't want you to be happy or have fun. There we go. That's how I meant to say that. No, I think part of my logic here gets a little bit dinged by the ACC, losing twice to UConn in non-conference this year and other non-conference shenanigans. But I think it's awesome that Cal can go into Louisville, vaunted ACC rivals, Cal and Louisville, and win and upset the apple cart. Like this is fun. This is good football. We're enjoying this. It's got character to it. I like these. I think this has been a phenomenal year of ACC football. Obviously, Florida State and Virginia is really high on that list. Clemson, Georgia Tech is really high on that list in terms of
Hmm.
games that are just memorable. But any team, any team, except maybe Boston College, but will hopefully they continue to be met.
Oh
But like,
no. Oh
but
no.
any team can win any game, right? And I think the ACC gets dinged when they should get praised for that.
This reminds me of like the stuff that people used to say about the Pac-12 before the Pac-12 met its ignominious end. Ignominious end. Do you remember like because it was always one or like Oregon would lose one game like right after they were 8-0 and the whole
Hmm.
conference would collapse in on itself. This is like 2018, 2019,
Right. Yeah.
where everyone would just trip over each other right after the first top like and eliminate themselves from the playoff right after the first like the top ranked team lost. But now with 12 teams that get into the playoff, you can either fit a seventh SEC team or you can pick the ACC champ. You have options.
So many options. All I got from that is that UConn should be in the ACC.
I,
That's been a message board discussion point for like 20 years, Jack. Maybe since message boards got invented, perhaps,
Did they get invented off that? Was someone had to say UConn to the ACC? Let's make it happen.
I
There
think
were many commentaries of the should it be Louisville or West Virginia or UConn?
Nice.
in what, 2013, 2014?
That makes sense.
The rumor has it that Boston College blocked UConn's inclusion. I think that's what I saw. This was from, I think, Dan
I-
Orlovsky of ESPN,
Interesting. Wow.
which
There's
noted UConn graduate Dan Orlovsky, of
ah
course.
interesting. Didn't know
Uh,
that.
but UConn would have two ACC wins, which is two more than Boston College would this year. 1-9 Boston College, 0-5 in conference. Georgia Tech will travel up to Chestnut Hill at 3:30 p.m. on next Saturday. That'll be on the ACC network. The opening line is Georgia Tech by 15 points. That one win for Boston College versus FCS Fordham. Boston College coming off a 32-point loss to SMU. So things are going great for Bill O'Brien.
Bob, as his friends call him.
Really, really fun time for former NFL head coaches in this conference. I'm sure the other one is doing just fine in Chapel Hill, surely. Talking a little bit more about Boston College. There's not a lot of ways to say bad, but apparently Boston College has found a lot of them. Adjusted
They're
EPA per
kind of
play rate.
unlucky too, though. Like the Stanford and Cal games were both kind of weird, right?
Yeah, they
Maybe
haven't been
they've been
blown out.
pretty bad since
Yeah,
then, but
they're not blown out in every game, but like Michigan State was only a 2 point loss early in the season as well. I mean, but neither of them are awesome teams yet. But
Hold on. Time out. What do you mean they haven't been blown out in every game?
not in every
I
game.
see. That is technically correct, which is the best
That's
kind of correct.
there you
However,
go.
I see a 10-point loss, a 41-point loss, a 31-point
I'm
loss,
not 10
a
points isn't getting blown
15-point
out.
loss.
10 points isn't getting blown out. What do you mean?
Okay,
That's
fine. Set aside the 10-point loss, but anything over two scores, brother. Come
maybe
on.
what do you mean?
they're bad. They're still
They
bad. We agree on the
they're
premise.
bad. They're bad. They're bad. They adjusted EPA per play rate brought to you by Game on Paper is 131 out of 136. And SP Plus from ESPN, they are 1/10. The offense is pretty aggressively bad. They're from Game on Paper, they are 105 in adjusted offensive EPA. SP Plus, they are 102. Defensively, ranked 106th in defensive EPA and 113th in SP Plus. I have a lot of questions, I will say, about what Bill O'Brien is doing in Chestnut Hill.
He
I'm
did
not
lose.
sure that it is working.
It's been things have just been not good there ever since Tommy Castellanos kind of just had to leave the team mid-season last year. Like that, it's just set off a lot of bad vibes, and it seemed, and that just hasn't gone away yet. And that can plague you for a long. Things like that can plague a team for a long, long time, and they're not the only team that has dealt with that version of just like something really bad went down, and it just puts them in a massive, massive funk, which sucks. I mean, you don't want to see teams have to go through a thing like that, but that's where they're at. And I
I
guess
will say, I will say the one bright spot in their team this year has been at the quarterback position in FBS versus FBS games. Alabama transfer Dylan Lonergan has been pretty stellar, like 0.19 EPA per dropback. I mean, all of these throws are pretty short. They're 5.25 yards per dropback
that's
after
nice.
adjusting for sacks, but like he's been pretty good, like pretty good. I don't see any injuries or anything that like across the board that have been completely derailing their
Yep.
season. But I will say they have a running back by the name of Turbo Richard.
Ooh.
This is important. Turbo Richard
Mm.
in FBS versus FBS games, 100 carries, 366 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Unfortunately, that EPA per rush is negative 0.02.
Well, that won't
So
work.
yeah, that part won't work. But I expect Turbo Richard to run for at least 200 yards uh, on Saturday.
Oh
I
man.
have this feeling in my bones it's going to be 200 yards.
Oh man.
Can I put something out there?
Go for it.
We're still listed first in the standings page on
That
theacc.com.
that we are. That we are.
I think
So
we do own currently we do own all the tiebreakers, right? Georgia Tech owns all the tiebreakers.
I believe we do. That yeah. Well, Wake us beating Wake is a very nice thing right now. After they beat UVA, um, I think the Louisville's a little funky just because we won't play them this year.
Louisville's got 2 losses, so
Yeah, if we get to a second loss, that's I think
There's
I know some of us in our Slack were going through the back of nations. It basically what we figured out was that, and I think some other folks online have figured out as well, is that if we don't win both these games in the next 2 weeks, you probably can kiss the ACC championship goodbye. It's obviously not a guarantee, but it just if things go chalk, that's what needs to happen. We don't have this provides the tiniest bit of wiggle room with UVA and Louisville losing, just because if they happen to find another loss in there, then that gives us more wiggle room. But we don't, if just depending on how things go down. But I mean, this is crunch time. We have 2 ACC games left to put ourselves in Charlotte, and thankfully one of them is Boston College. Like that's reassuring to know that like we have to beat. Well, we're gonna have to beat a ranked team to get there, probably assuming Pitt stays ranked. We'll see what happens after Notre Dame with them this weekend, but it's not too. I like how it's not too comfortable. This team does well against the wall, and they are very aware that this is a do or die time in a lot of ways for them. So I don't mind the spot that we're playing in this week.
as of right now. So if all games go chalk, which means Tech wins its next 2 ACC fixtures, they would be finished with home field advantage in Charlotte with the 1 seed, and they would be followed up by Duke, also at 7-1, which is fascinating to me. SMU would be number 3 because they would be below Tech and Duke based on record versus common conference opponents all played equal times. That is from, what is this? Not Nothing, the basketball tiebreaker simulator, notnothing.net. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that is fascinating tie-breaking procedures await us in this next 3 weeks of ACC football. Anything else about Boston College? Anything from this bye week of ACC football that stuck out to you, gents?
I mean, Brent Key had the quote of the year for us at least. I mean, my God,
what, the cut me open and see what colors I bleed thing?
hell yeah, man. I mean, if put away, I mean, the various people that cover this team have known there's just no chance this dude's leaving right now. Like he is in the middle of his project that he has been wanting to see through himself, and he wants to see it through as much as anybody else on this planet. Um, and so he's gonna do this, and the extension's in the works. Like he's gonna get paid comparably to what he needs to be getting paid. But he's also him and Haynes reflect the same thing. They are very much still team players at the same time. Like they want to see the Institute win. They don't want to see themselves like that's what matters to them, not just themselves winning. And that he's like, and he doesn't like leave stuff out to like leave us wondering. Basically, he's like, no, like who the hell do you think I am? This is what I've been doing the entire freaking time. Also, think about when he came here. This is the thing that Kelly Quinlan brought up. Think about the time that he got to Georgia Tech and where he came from, and the kind of situation that he just chose to voluntarily show up to from literal Alabama University under Nick Saban. He came here to the last guy voluntarily.
To be fair, I one time out there just to not to be entirely fair to Jeff, but it was a 2019, right? It was
2019. It was 2019.
After.
It was 2019.
Right. So it wasn't at the bottom. It wasn't at the bottom yet, but it very quickly.
The hype was at the top, but we know Brent Key. We know he can see through BS in a second. Like, and we'll see what happens when their all careers are over and see if they say anything about what happened behind the scenes. But nonetheless, like he could have left at any other time. Like he didn't have to stay. That's another thing. Like he stayed through that entire rut, and took over the reins, and here we are. So all that to say, like, don't if you're feeling weird about like, oh, he's gonna go, he's not going. He's not going. It's fine.
It would be like if one of us became the head football coach. Like, would you go anywhere, Jack?
No. I mean, I get fired the next day for something not knowing football, but I mean, that's a different matter entirely.
I'd probably get fired for trying to use game on paper technology to run the football team, but that's besides the point.
Game on paper technology. Paper.
The spreadsheets. The game is actually, in fact, played on a spreadsheet. We don't actually go out onto the field.
Oh
It's
my
Oh,
great.
gosh.
one other
Uh,
thing I noticed from this wide world of football is the final score of the Northwestern versus USC game. Did anyone catch that?
I did not. I did not
Perchance?
watch any football yesterday.
It was 17 to 38, which I appreciate. So a Fetty
it's
Waping, if
back
you
to
will.
it's 2016 all over again, truly.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yeah, the important parts, I think we kind of touched on it, but to just say it very explicitly, Virginia and Louisville both lost their games. But ultimately, it puts Georgia Tech back in the driver's seat of its own destiny, right? Win out in your ACC schedule and you play in Charlotte. Like there's some margin of error depending on the results next week alongside this Boston College game, but at the end of the day, it's that Al Davis just win baby mentality for the rest of the slate. Gentlemen, podcast business time before we go on to talk about, oh man, a bunch of fall athletics that just kicked off.
So this cannot be a coincidence, gents, but do you know what the new first picture that shows up on section103.com is?
Is it Mr.
No.
King? Is it Mr. King himself?
No,
Oh
no.
wow.
Tis the season. Felice Bobby
Oh.
Dodd sweatshirts and crew necks. Sweatshirt in gold, which I think is technically crew neck sweatshirt, and then a long sleeve T-shirt in navy. They're back. It's the reason for the season, right? Felice Bobby Dodd available back, and of course better than ever, question mark. I don't know, there's a lot of options. It's getting chilly out there. Grab your long sleeve shirts or your crew necks or just any other fine sweatshirt that they have over at section103.com. As always, code FTRS 10% off and free shipping on orders over $100 every day. You can find them at section103.com and at section103 on Instagram. Gents, back to you.
Let's talk about men's basketball, shall we?
Sure.
A interesting week, I would say. This season started with a inauspicious game versus Maryland Eastern Shore. Jack, what do you got on this one?
Oh my God. I was tracking this. I was doing something. I forgot what it was. I wasn't. I was. I think. Yeah. I was out at dinner with my parents, and I'm just following the scores. I'm like, oh, it's UMass. That's fun. Whatever. I used to have my old job. Used to have some business with them. Just cool to see them popping around. And then the score didn't. There was barely any scoring to speak of in the first part of the game for either team, and then nobody broke. Like we didn't break away really, and then I was tracking it, and then I was tracking it on my phone as I'm getting home, and I see that that it's a tie game, and somehow we get super lucky. We get fouled, and we get a free throw with like a second to go to pull it to force overtime. We had to do the forcing of overtime against UMass, not the other way around. Thank God we won in overtime. But 56 to 52 against Maryland Eastern Shore is not good. I will say, lots of teams had some very raw basketball at the beginning of the week across the nation. We are not alone in being a team that should be blowing out a 300 something ranked Ken Palm team. So like this is not a just us thing. Don't think about this. Is this classic Georgia Tech? Okay, yeah, kind of. But a lot of teams go through the same growing pains. And thank God we won. In my head, I after thought, I'm like, should we schedule real preseason games and sell tickets to those games and just not have games like this count? Like that was a thought that crossed my mind. But nonetheless, we got the game won. We won, and then we beat Bryant a couple days later. The embarrassing part about this, Jake, you want to mention the embarrassing part about this UMass game that happened after the fact?
After the fact, oh, the fact that they went over to Athens and got absolutely shellacked. That
Yeah,
was fun. That was
yeah,
I
super
think they
fun.
lost by 40.
yeah. It wasn't close. It wasn't close at all. So
Not I don't know. Like there's ways you can caveat, oh, we're playing raw basketball, oh, we're down two starters, this and the other. It should not have been close though. Like
no, no,
in terms of
no.
sheer talent differential of an ACC program versus one that is not an ACC program, maybe I think I'll just charitably leave it that.
Yeah,
I don't know. They all to say they looked a lot better in game two with a nice, 30-ish point win. Looked maybe maybe a lot more like expected would be the way to put it.
Yes, I think that's fair. Yes, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
My
Um,
other thing in this 2 game set was that a bunch of injuries. I saw one player out for load management in game one. I don't know, Jack, if you saw that on the injury report or something, but I
I
saw that on the
I
Twitter
hadn't.
sphere.
I hadn't. I don't get it. Sure, I don't. I'm not a. Basketball's definitely not my most smartest sport when it comes to this, and things that
it
make sense about Georgia Tech basketball are very few and far between most of the time, anyways. So
it does not help that we shot 14% from three in the second half and
no,
22% from three in the first half. Some of that like variance monster type stuff,
right.
you'd think that that's a um, non-replicably terrible performance. And then also, if you look at free throws, Tech, yes, they did make two clutch ones at the end of the game in the second, but prior to that, they had made what? That makes it like 4 of 12, 4 of 12 on the day prior to those last two in regulation. Make the freebies, guys. That obviously, if you make six of those, it's still probably a too close for comfort margin at the end of the day, but pretty pretty bleak shooting effort in general, particularly from three and from the line. Though it is one way to make a game almost disastrous. Obviously, you can always win the ACC and make a tournament and bubble and whatnot, but losing game one to University of Maryland Eastern Shore would not have been the right message to send to say in year three, yes, things are getting better. This is new Georgia Tech. No, 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 no. Felt a lot like old Georgia Tech, even in a winning
Yeah,
effort.
yeah.
Cool. The next game, Southeastern Louisiana at 9 p.m. on ACC Network. What is that, tomorrow? A Monday, 9 p.m.?
Yeah, yeah. This is a real thing, and I will
We
not be
need to
going to
stop doing
this
this.
or watching this game because no,
I refuse.
no.
Like
No. Like,
it's
what the
bad
hell?
enough when it's an ACC game at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, but 9 p.m. in general is not a recipe to get fans in the building. Like,
I don't understand how
kids
this
have
keeps being a
school,
thing.
people have jobs, like students, I mean, you might get some of them, but versus Selah on a Monday, like that's
I
Yeah.
a
don't
really
get how
tall
this is a
order.
TV slot. I
I
Yeah.
don't get how this is a TV slot because the ACC network does like I think we like Tech has played Duke in this slot before. Like
Hmm.
it's ridiculous.
Right. We played
It's
Clemson in this
annoying
slot.
every single time.
We played midweek 9 o'clock games against Clemson the last 2 years. This year, thank God we don't. But like, yeah, I mean, I put on the shot sheet jokingly played at 1 o'clock, but like, I probably don't get more people, but at least people might be able to follow the game if it's at 1 o'clock compared to 9 p.m. at night. I
It's
mean,
ridiculous.
yeah, it's not worth of a television slot. It's put on ACCNX and play it at a normal time. Also, like sometimes they do these 9 o'clock games, like at right at the edge of end of finals or right like during reading day and things like that to get more students out because the late night kind of does make more sense for them. But no, this is not even like close to finals. Like this is still grunt time for students.
It's
Like this,
just bad.
right? There's nothing appealing about it. People now have to go work until like midnight at McCabesh on a Monday night. That's just it's absolutely insane.
Uh, you know what? You know what makes it slightly better? The SEC network is forcing its partner to do the exact same thing on what is that, Friday night in Athens at 9 p.m. for clean old fashioned hate basketball edition. Ugh. Actually, it
Maybe I'll
doesn't make
watch
it
that.
better at all,
No,
honestly. It's actually pretty crappy.
yeah, that's because yeah, that should be a mid-afternoon game on a Saturday. Well, not every Saturday, but like that should be not then. And here we are.
Gross. Gross. Let's flip over to the women's basketball team. They had two opening season fixtures. The first versus Radford, which was kind of a clean cut 82 to 36 point win. And then this little number versus Princeton, which was fascinating. Fascinating. Jack, you were there in person. Tell me about this one.
Um, It was a good matchup. I'm glad we got this game in particular because the last couple years we've been close to playing them in the NCAA tournament. They've been like in like a projected, oh, we could play them first round or match up with them. Like we've been kind of we've been circling them, at least in a national sense of maybe playing them. Then we just scheduled them out right here to come down to Atlanta. This was a good game, a special game for me considering my mom went to Princeton. We've never had a Tech versus Princeton game to watch together in any way, shape, or form. So this was a cool little like, oh hey, we can go see them together. The problem is we had like all the turnovers. Uh, this team has still got a long way to go in terms of chemistry. Erica Moon, who was one of our main point guard, she went out in the second quarter with a knee injury. Landed funny, didn't look awesome. Didn't She came back out on the bench, but she did not play anymore. Um, our Inez Nuero was our highest scorer at 13 points. Our turnover amount, we lost the turnover battle 26-13, like literally doubled up on them. And Princeton hadn't played. This is Princeton's first game of the year too. They just played cleaner basketball. There were some rebounding things we haven't fully solved yet. Brianna Turnage is kind of there as our big guard up front that's supposed to be able to rebound, but she missed some free throws, missed some easier buckets. But she got 10 rebounds, which is good. Termis, right now, I mean, Inez Nuero and Ari Termis, the two returning starters that started a number of games last year, clearly look the best. At least they're most in sync, but it makes sense. They've played together for 2 seasons now. Deja Thomas was in there for a little bit. Was okay in spots, but not amazing. But losing Erica Moon was the big thing. Like she's been our starting point guard. Has been the person that I think they want to eventually start trying to build around, but it was okay. Just a lot of turnovers. That was the main thing. Is that this team is not fully in sync. Princeton was able to take advantage of those. Hit some clutch threes also at the end of the fourth quarter, which is that was the big nail biter. They went on a run that just put us out. They won the fourth quarter 24-11. Like that's it. It got sloppy on our end.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it got sloppy. And we had the lead for 30 minutes. Like we mostly controlled this game. Had a really good second quarter. Third quarter wasn't like a third quarter nap, so to say, but it could have been better. But then yeah, fourth was just not. It wasn't good. We were shooting effectively. Like if you somehow missed the turnover numbers, you'd be shocked because like shooting great,
Yep.
rebounds great, fouls not crazy, and then then we doubled them up on turnovers, and it's like, well, if we're just gonna hand them the bucket, even though their shooting percentage was maybe, for instance, was 36, ours was 47. And so we just kept handing them opportunities, and that was enough. So
Did we highlight that? Yes, with the exact number, they shot 50% from three and 46 from two in the fourth. Not just it looks
yeah,
good;
yeah,
those are great numbers. But
yes, they are.
if
They are.
you get doubled up in turnovers, then yeah, that's going to be challenging. And Princeton's a pretty good, like almost at large caliber type
Basically,
team
yeah, yeah.
lately, haven't
No,
they?
yeah, they're definitely tournament level. Yeah, they're good, and I mean we've got basically an entirely new roster here that's learning how to play together with an entirely new coaching staff. So that's the thing. It's like I'm not like super sad about this. Yes, I'm sad that we lost, of course, but it's like there is so much growing that has to happen very quickly for this team that it's
Yeah.
just a lot of new parts together. And it's very nice to have Inez and Ari still there together because they had the best when they played with each other during the game. That was our best moments. Was them being able to hit
And
each other.
And did we? I want to say this is still like a mixed to positive type reaction, I think, from myself as well. Did we highlight? We held Radford to 0 points in the second quarter of
Oh,
that
that's right.
game.
I forgot about
That was
that.
pretty
Yeah,
good. That
I
was pretty
like that.
good.
I like that.
Radford never led in that game. I know that's a team that you expect to beat, but they throttled them in front of 5,500 people because it was Education Day, which is super cool. If you're going to be playing non-con stuff, at least do something cool with it. You know. But yeah, no, I think it still feels like a mixed to positive type week for me. This is not a team that I think any of us expected to come running out of the gate on fire. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's fine. A 6 point loss to Princeton, you could view as, oh, that's not that bad. But knowing where the game state was, it felt that bad.
Mm.
Cool. Next two fixtures for women's basketball: Charleston Southern on the 13th and Jacksonville on the 16th. So a little bit smoother of an opening part to the season other than Princeton, which is a little bit more on text level. But hopefully can pick up some wins here in the non-con slate ahead of ahead of the ACC schedule next, or I guess starting in December. So let's move on to volleyball, which ugh, mixed bag. Mixed bag. Boston College, 3-1 loss up in Chestnut Hill, and then a fixture at Syracuse that was a 3-0 win. Not much to say on Syracuse. It's Syracuse. Syracuse is not bad, or is not good, excuse me, at volleyball, but Boston College. Ugh. That one's ugly. Boston College, for context, is 96th in the Evolve volleyball rankings. Tech is now down to, let me see if I can find that rank. I think they're down to like 32nd or 33rd after this one. Excuse me, 36th. 36th.
Okay.
So
Yikes.
a big drop. Anything else to cover from these two games, gents?
Bianca Garibaldi had basically a career day. 17 kills on 538. I don't think that was her biggest kill number. I should know this, but nonetheless, that's still really good to get that from her because she wasn't supposed to be our number one middle blocker going into the year. Like we still had Mogridge. So that was going to be plan A, and here we are having to play Garibaldi and like only 6 other players most of the time, and she's still delivering. Mambu. It was a bad. The thing is, we should win this. We should have won this game. Honestly, we got to 20 points in the first 3 sets, only to 19 in the fourth, in the 3-1 loss. But Mambu had 5 kills and 8 errors. So you get your one of your main outside hitters close to 500 with higher volume. This is a different match. This is an entirely different match than what we're seeing, or close to a different match here. So that's freshman variance for you that we've been dealing with her from all year. She's been getting more consistent as the year goes on and had a great game against Syracuse. So thankfully the schedule worked out so she could have a good comeback game. But yeah, that's it's symptomatic of this year. Boston College also given us trouble up there in the last couple of years. Like I remember we had a Bertolino era game that was frustratingly close in a win. So like
It's like Boston College, Virginia, they're all like those two games every single year get weird.
yeah, it happens. Thank God it's not Miami and Florida State this year. We got that at the front end, but yeah, this kind of filling in that early November shoot. We're in that slot of the season where like either we figure our stuff out and we are really good and threatening, or we just backslide into the tournament. We might not even make the tournament this year. We probably won't make the tournament this year, actually.
I was gonna say
just
this is a game where you need to stack it if you want to be feeling good about
yes,
that, and it makes me feel not very good to not have it.
right. Yes,
I
unless we
remember
good.
I remember like this weekend, Jake and Jake sent me a text like right after this game went final and was like, "Crap." It's like freaking out. It's like, oh my God, we lost to Boston College. They're not gonna make
Yeah,
the tournament.
yeah.
That was rough.
So
It's been a rough year. I think
it's a year
it's
from
sort of the
hell.
end of a cycle, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's injury plagued. Yeah, very injury plagued, and a lot of new folks. It's sometimes in a good conference, so it's like you play the hand you're dealt at some point.
margins are so thin in this
Right,
conference now with
right,
SMU being good at volleyball,
right.
Stanford being a top 8 team, and Cal being decent.
And we
Like
scheduled
the
like we were still a top 5 team in the conference too. Uh, and I
yeah,
mean, thank God we got the Purdue. Like the Purdue win is carrying us right now in terms of our resume. Like if we didn't win
Yeah,
that game, kiss the season goodbye. But that is carrying a lot of weight right now if we can find our way back to the edge of an at-large bid.
that Purdue team, by the way, 14 in the Evolve rankings. So keep that in the back pocket as well. So this week, up for Georgia Tech volleyball, a home and a home with Clemson. The first leg will be on Wednesday at 6 p.m. on ACC Network. And then Tech's home leg will be on Friday on the 14th at 7 p.m. on ACC Network. It'll be fun to see what the aggregate score is for these two legs. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
6-0,
Any
please.
other news and notes? What's up?
I said 6-0, please.
Would be nice. I think, especially given the Boston College game, it would really be nice to just be nice and neat and 2 wins in these 2 games. Any other news and notes from volleyball?
I think this is later in the sheet, but if you want to see pro volleyball at McCamish, you can. League One volleyball our League One volleyball team is playing 3 matches in McCamish in March and April.
Away
They're
away from
usually
the lovely Gateway Center Arena in College Park, Georgia. Dang.
Yeah, you won't be able to walk to those games, buddy.
Are you gonna dox me on this podcast? Come on, man.
You're
doxing his
Uh,
strong. You're
name.
strong. You can walk from many miles away.
yeah, I actually bike from Anniston, Alabama down the Silver Comet every time I come to a game, you know.
There you
Hey,
go.
they're building that connector. There's a Silver Comet to Beltline connector coming along. Maybe we should do a construction corner just to talk about Beltline construction. That would be great, I'm sure. Men's tennis, quick update here. ITA sectionals were this past week. And this is basically the last tennis event for the men until the spring. Just one fixture in the first round of singles for Georgia Tech, and they unfortunately fell. Amir Nasruddinov from Auburn defeated Jonathan Irwanto of Tech 6-1, 6-2. And that is the last
Eh.
and very ignominious end for men's tennis until the spring.
On the women's side, they were also at ITA sectionals this weekend. They had 3 singles entries, 1 doubles entry. Unfortunately, doubles lost 6-4, 6-3 in round 1. Tali Light and Alejandra Cruz did win in 2 sets each over Mississippi State and LSU level of competition, so pretty good. Scarlett Nicholson fell in 3 sets, 5-7, 7-6, and a 7-5 tiebreak, and then 7-5 again. So Scarlett Nicholson, she got her money's worth in terms of playing a lot of freaking tennis. But both Tali Light and Alejandra Cruz did fall in round 2 there. NCAA individual champs are up next, but that rounds out general tennis competition on the women's side for the fall as well.
Cool. Good stuff. Anything else from the wide world of sports on the flats, gentlemen?
I, I mean, Bruce Heppler is retiring. That's kind of big news. We haven't talked
That
about that
is
yet.
that is very big news. We should talk about that very quickly. Uh, Bruce Heppler, 31 years as Georgia Tech golf head coach. He is retiring at the end of the 25, well, I guess it's the 26 season, the 25-26 athletic year. A heck of a career that unfortunately, due to the variance of college golf, has not netted him a team national title. But man, like just the most Dan Marino style college coaching career that I can think of. It's hats off on just what it was been an incredibly successful run for the first or second most successful program in the last 25 years at Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, what came to mind this week is that we have now lost in a 365-day stretch, Heppler, Hall, and Hinsdale, all who have been here since the early mid 90s. It's a lot of institutional knowledge, not necessarily out the door because Danny's still involved with the team and whatnot, but it's like that's just a lot of legendary Tech people that are leaving it around the same time. Now, granted, they're at their age; they can go retire. They should enjoy the rest of their lives. But it's still crazy to think we'll have a Tech golf team without old Bruce. It's wild to think about.
Just to
Agreed.
read off some of the accomplishments here from RamblinWreck.com. Quote, since taking over as Georgia Tech's head coach in 1995, Heppler has guided the Yellow Jackets to 27 straight NCAA regionals every season since 1998, 22 NCAA finals, and 4 national runner-up finishes. Most recently, the Jackets advanced to the NCAA semifinals in both 23 and 2024, earning their 4th second-place finish under Heppler in 2023 and tying for 3rd in 2024. Since 2000, Tech has finished outside the top 10 in college golf's major polls only 5 times. End quote.
That's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. I think Tech has never finished outside the top 10 in college golf in Jack's entire lifetime, which is wild to think about. Just putting it that way. I mean, they haven't missed a regional since the year that I was born. That's crazy. Like you can put these put these accomplishments and put these streaks in like human lifetime levels of measurements, which is
Yeah.
crazy. Like the level of sustained success from this program that we have lauded so much and has gotten so close to the mountaintop, only to be bested by like 2 strokes by Florida in that national final in
Yep.
2023.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
multiple times before, right? Again, 4 second place finishes is insane. It's quite a storied career.
He is where he is in a sense responsible for the one national title we've had in the last 21 years now at this point, because it was no, a little under 20 years, because Women's Tennis was 07. So he got us one. He got us one. It should have been more, but he got us the one. It's very Atlanta of him to, or Buffalo of him to come up to second 4 times, but oh well.
Very
Yeah, I was
Buffalo.
gonna say that's Buffalo.
That's Buffalo. Yeah,
That's
I
real
agree.
Buffalo.
It's very Buffalo.
Let's see, a couple other things. Quote, on the conference level, he's led Georgia Tech to 14 Atlantic Coast Conference championships, most recently in 2023, which is the third most by any coach in ACC men's golf history. He's a 10-time ACC Coach of the Year, 99, 01, 02, 06, 09, 11, 12, 14, 18, and 19. End quote. 2 NCAA champions, 3 National Players of the Year, 3 U.S. Amateur champions, 1 British Amateur champion, 6 Walker Cup participants, 11 Palmer Cup participants. I can just keep reading this. This is going to take way too much time, but it's insane. The whole thing is insane. Hats off to Bruce on a storied career. This is going to be just a very different world now that, like you said, Jack, no Grover Hinsdale, no Bruce Heppler, and no Danny Hall at the athletic department anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Truly, truly fascinating. Gentlemen, after that, on that somber note, any other news and notes before we head out?
Go buy football tickets. Go buy football tickets. There's a lot still available for not super expensive against Pitt. So if you want to get in the building, you very much can. And I won't. If you bring your whole, if you have like 6 people with you, that'll be a lot. But nonetheless, you can get in for about $40 right now. So pretty affordable, way more affordable than the Georgia game. So if you're still looking to go to that, I hope you have some savings. That's what it'll take to go to the Georgia game now. But otherwise, if we can get 50K at the Pitt game, that'll mean a lot. That'll mean a lot to the guys in particular. They definitely feed off the crowd. And that's been evident in every game we've had at home this year because we've won them all. So we'd like to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that about covers us on the rest. I will take us out. As always, thanks for spending your evening or your morning whenever you listen. We are happy you're here with us. You can find us with the written word at fromtherumbleseat.com. Email us your thoughts fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can find us on Blue Sky, on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook. Look up From the Rumble Seat in some form or fashion. You'll probably find us. And Section 103 is at section103.com and at Section 103 on Instagram. You can find this podcast wherever fine podcasts are distributed. You can also find Akshay and Jack over at Game on Paper, gameonpaper.com, the best place to find numbers and other things. Tweets about numbers and comments on that. Yeah, all that and more. GameOnPaper.com and them on socials as well. Till we speak again, good night, good luck, and go Jackets.